Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my next video. Today, we have got another Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 Prestige class for you. And today, from the Complete Arcane, we've got the Sevenfold Veil Initiate. Now, we're going to be talking about what is the Sevenfold Veil Initiate. And we're going to talk about how you get in to the Sevenfold Veil Initiate to become one. Then we're finally going to talk about what you get as a Sevenfold Veil Initiate. And finally, we're going to talk about how good the Sevenfold Veil Initiate is and how they might be using a build. So let's get into it. So, the Initiate of the Sevenfold Veil. Anyways, it's a very long title. So, the Initiate of the Sevenfold Veil. What are they? Well, they are a spellcaster, generally a wizard, that has really gotten into colors. I know that sounds weird, but they've gotten into the whole aspect of colors and magic and nature and how that all kind of intertwines, with its most perfect form being that of the prismatic sphere. And they've really learned to master the effects of the prismatic sphere in a way to somewhat separate those effects out into their own little abilities that they can use for their own defensive purposes. So yeah, that's the Sevenfold Veil Initiate. They're quite the interesting one. Let's talk about how you get in. So to get in, fairly simple. You need Knowledge Arcana, 12 ranks, and Knowledge Nature, 4 ranks, because it does require understanding of nature to figure this out. And Spellcraft, 12 ranks. Okay, not too terrible. Feats, it requires Greater Spell Penetration, Abjuration, Spell Focus, Abjuration, and Skill Focus, Spellcraft. So you need to be, so you'll get a bonus to Spellcraft and then some nice bonuses to Abjuration spells. Okay, not bad. This is a heavy Abjuration build. Or heavy Abjuration Prestige class. It also requires you to be able to cast Abjuration spells, 5 of them, and at least 2 of 4th level or higher. So you're going to need 5 Abjuration spells, 2 of which have to be at least 4th level. So you're going to have to be fairly high level before you can get in. As a wizard, you're going to need at least 9 levels to pull this one off. So yeah, dropping a bunch of Spellcraft, of course, Knowledge Arcana, those are ones you're going to want anyway, so it's not a huge issue. But Knowledge, Religion, actually that's probably not cross-class as a wizard, so that's even not so bad. Even though you could absolutely pull it off. The feat selection's not the worst. Skill focus isn't the best, but it is on one that you're going to want to be as high as possible, so that's not terrible. Yeah, so that's what it takes to get in. Let's talk about what you get. First off, D4 hit dice. Same as the Wizard and Sorcerer, so it is what it is. It's got a bad base attack bonus, again, so does the Wizard and Sorcerer, so it is what it is. It's got a bad Fortitude and Reflex save, but good Will save, same as the Wizard Sorcerer. And on top of that, it has skills 2+ int. The skill list is okay. It's not the best, but it does have everything you're going to need. So yeah. Now in terms of what else it gets, well, it gets spellcasting, full spellcasting progression, which is big. That's a really big thing to be able to fully progress your arcane spellcasting. Let's see. You're also going to get warding. Now, warding is complicated. This one has like pages all just about freaking warding. It's a big one. So it's a spell-like ability, or not spell-like, it's a supernatural ability. No, it's spell-like. I'm dumb. Anyways, and what you can do is you can create a warding, and there's 3 different types you can create. You can only do this so many times per day. At first it's just once, but eventually you can do it up to 4 times per day. And this is kind of the big thing that you get from this prestige class, and it's nice. So the first form of warding is you can do a personal warding, which will be one that just takes up your square and it moves with you. It'll give you protection while you're in there, like they'll give you concealment, although you can see out just fine. Um, and and the warding will be affected by one of your veils, your choice, that anyone who enters the veil will be subject to, which is pretty nice, and it gains the protection of that veil. So very, very nice. There's the area version, which is going to be similar, but it's going to it'll also move with you. This one will go 5 feet around you on all sides, though, so it's a little bit bigger. You can put some allies in there. If an ally's partly in, then that still counts, so that's good. Now, this one is interesting in that it will allow this one. It will move with you, and it will allow your allies in. Otherwise, it functions pretty much identically to the personal one. One thing of note is if an ally is partially in, like if they're large and like one of their squares happens to be in, that counts. That's good. They're protected. And on top of that, as long as they stay with it, as long as they don't venture outside, they're good. If they venture outside, they don't take any effects of the warding. But if they try and come back in, or if anything else comes back in, they will take the damage from it. That probably also goes for very small creatures like tiny and smaller that, with a personal one, since those sizes can actually fit in your square. Let's see. Then and both of those last per minute per level, or until dismissed. Then there's the wall version. The wall version is similar. This one actually lasts 10 minutes per level. Its size depends on what level you are. It starts out pretty small, but it gets bigger really fast because both the height and the length go up linearly with caster levels. So the actual size goes up quadratically, which is nice. You can make it smaller though, but it does have to be a nice straight line. You can choose whether or not you want to make a safe side, which will function very similarly to the inside of your other areas, but you can choose not to have a safe side either, and anything passing through in that direction will not be affected. So that's pretty nice. And you have so those are your 3 options. Now, if someone were to try and dismiss it, it's fairly high. Now, the spell save DC for the warding is going to be 18 plus your ability modifier, which is really nice. So anybody who gets caught in this is likely to it's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough time for them. It's particularly hard to dismiss. It's effectively an 8th level spell in terms of the spell save DC, but weirdly enough, the actual effective spell level is not typically 8th level. It's going to be dependent on what level, what veil's used on it. So that's weird. But yeah. Now let's talk about the veils that you can put on it. So the veils are indicative of that of the prismatic sphere. So the first veil is the red veil. It will, let's see, what does it block? Non-magical range attacks, and anyone who enters it will have to make a reflex save or take 20 points of fire damage. The next one, which they get the first one at 1st level, and then they get the last one at 7th level, so they get 1 per level. They get the orange veil at 2nd level. That one will block magical ranged attacks, and anyone who passes through it will take 20 points of, what is it, something damage. Let me. Acid. Is it acid? It's 40 points. I know that. Yeah, acid damage. 40 points of acid damage. I could not find that for the life of me. That's the orange veil. The yellow veil. And the red veil is dispelled by Cone of Cold. This one's dispelled by Gust of Wind. Yellow veil will be it'll protect against, what was that? Gases and clouds, and it'll also give anyone inside of the personal or area one basically immunity to any sort of poison that has to get through. So that's kind of nice. Like basically it just nullifies any poison as it's passing through the veil, so that whoever's inside doesn't get hit by it. So that's good. Yeah, and on top of that, um, this one, anyone who passes through it is going to take 80 points of electricity damage, or unless they make a reflex save. And of course, there is also the this one will also be done by disintegrate. All right. Then there's the green veil. This one is save. This one was it does stops breath weapons and it's save or die. Yeah, if you don't save, you just die, and it's a poison effect, so nasty. It makes it a little harder to, a little less likely to be immune to. And this one is done by can be disintegrated, can be taken out by pass wall. Next up, you got the blue one, the blue veil at 5th level. That one, let's see, it blocks all divination and mind affecting spells and abilities. And it's a fortitude save or be petrified, and it's stopped by magic missile. Interestingly enough, 6th level you get their 6th veil, which is the indigo veil. Any creature must be a will save or be confused, as if by the insanity spell, and a daylight spell negates the spell. Okay, and then finally you have the violet veil. Uninitiated Sevenfold Veil destroys all objects and effects that cross it. So basically everything. The other ones are kind of moved compared to the 7th one, as if they were disintegrated. Living creatures must succeed on a will save or be shifted to a random plane. Yeah, a violet spell is destroyed by a successful dispel magic. Yeah. So it's successful dispel magic. So basically that one can just be dispelled normally with dispel magic. The other ones all take specific spells to get rid of them. Now, that's the veils. Whew, that was a long one. Next, at 1st level, they get unimpeachable abjuration, which basically lets them add their class level to the DC for the dispelling check, which is actually crazy because that's generally a caster level check. So you kind of get to add this class level to your caster level, which can be really impressive. That can make it up to 7 levels higher, would make it quite difficult to dispel. So very good at making it difficult to dispel your abjurations. There's Unswearable Strike that they get at 2nd level. That gives them a bonus to dispel abjurations, initially +2 and up to +4 at 6th level, which is less than what they get for unimpeachable. So if 2 of them go up at each other, they're still less good than 2 wizards trying to dispel each other's abjurations. So not bad. They get reactive warding at 4th level. This will let them throw up one of their wards as an immediate action, and can potentially stop an action from happening. Like if they throw up a ward that protects against arrows, and while someone's firing an arrow, well, guess what? Now those arrows just don't work. It'll just block the attack. If they can do it in reaction to a charge, and then the person has to think twice whether they want to continue the charge or not. So yeah, very interesting. At 6th level, they get double warding, which will let it so that anytime that they do a warding, they can put 2 veils on it, and that still only counts as 1 warding. So very nice. And if they put 2 veils, the weaker one, which would be the one that was listed first when I just listed them, starting with red and moving you up to way up to violet, they are going to you're going to have to destroy the weaker ones first. So if you had a red and violet for some reason, in order to get rid of the violet layer, you'd have to first get rid of the red layer. Yeah. Let's see. Then, both effects would apply if someone crossed through, just like with the prismatic wall or prismatic sphere, except for there's only 2 levels. Then finally, you have kaleidoscopic doom. that one's interesting. At 7th level, they get Kaleidoscopic Doom. This one is a special one. It functions a lot like Greater Dispel Magic, but a targeted version of it. But for every single thing it manages to dispel, it throws a veil on the person. So basically, it turns the magic against them. And they get suffered through the effects of one veil for every spell that was dispelled off of them, which is pretty nice. Yeah, it's quite nice. Now, if they have more than 7, it's debatable whether they actually have more than 7 effects visited on them. Um, One argument is, yeah, it's just 7 because that's how many veils there are. Another is it just repeats the process because, the spectrum does kind of go back from violet to red. So something of a DM call. I suspect most DMs would say it stops at 7, though. Yeah, so that's what they get. Now, how good are they? Well, they're quite good, actually. Full spell casting, and those abilities are nice. They get some really good defenses from that. Being able to cast, especially with some of those better later veils, they can cast and launch things from outside. Meanwhile, they can't be attacked until the veils are dispelled, which is quite potent. Very, very nice. They can only do this 4 times a day, sure, but yeah, they can get those veils up. They can get like 2 of them going at once. There's nothing saying they can't have multiple going on at the same time. So they can see from it seems like they can have a warding, a personal, and an area. Each one's with potentially even with different veils on each of them, 2 each, and yeah, that's quite nasty. Now they're very limited in how often they can do this, but is very good, and yeah, no loss of spell casting. So this is actually one of the better prestige classes. Could be put on basically any build that doesn't have abjuration banned. Doesn't even have to focus too heavy on abjuration, although it's probably better if it does. So yeah, that is the initiative, the Sevenfold Veil. I finally got it right. I know I said it wrong the first couple times. Anyways, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I always love hearing from you. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like. Maybe subscribe to the channel for more D&D 3.5 videos. I do one of these on every single class, race, and a prestige class in Dungeons & Dragons 3.5. So ring that notification bell so you never miss out on a video. Anyways, as always, I'm Mitch, and I'll be seeing you